Well, this year, many of you know that we've been highlighting heirloom vegetables here at our studio gardens. And as a reminder, for a vegetable to be considered an heirloom variety, it's open pollinated and usually introduced prior to the 1940s. And take this cucumber, for example. This is a cucumber. It looks like a normal cucumber until you look at the fruit that it produces, and it's a white cucumber, and the variety is called White Wonder. Now, we've trellised some plants up here, and you can see we have a few of our friends a cucumber beetle that's been feeding on them all summer long. So we've started to get some of the bacterial problem that is transmitted by the cucumber beetle that plugs up the vine, and you can see them starting to wilt. So we've been able to prolong it a little bit by cutting the vines out and sterilizing our pruners in between to get a little bit of production to be able to show you what they look like. Now, this variety, White Wonder, was traced back to the 1920s, around 1925, and it's really been a favorite in the southern part of the United States. If you look at the cucumber when it first starts putting on, it's a lighter color, kind of a limey color, and still very hairy like most cucumbers. Then as it grows, it starts to whiten up on us. Now, they'll still have a lime color, but what we've noticed on them is that they don't really get very long. They size up in thickness more than anything, so you have to keep up with them and harvest them a little bit quicker so they don't get too fat on you. And when you cut into one, you'll see the white texture still is a little bit green, but it has a whiter color more so than most cucumbers. The catalog, of course, when we try these heirlooms, we don't really know what to expect, but the catalog tells us that they're good for pickling and for slicing. Well, we sent some over to Barb, and she tried to pickle some, and she was going to use a recipe making sweet pickles out of them. And what she found out was that the brine was a little bit too strong with the sugar, and it caused them to shrivel up. And so what she recommends, instead of using a sweet pickling recipe, is to use something that is a quick pack where you use some of the vinegar and salt, and she thought they'd turn out a little bit better. Now, I also have sampled some for slicing, and I noticed that they're really pretty strong cucumber taste, and the skin is very thick, so I definitely recommend that you peel them. But again, it's kind of an interesting crop, although it hasn't been one of our favorites, where I want to show you some of our other heirlooms that are really getting a lot of attention. And the potatoes kind of taken on a patriotic flair this year. We have red, white, and blue colors, and I want to go over some of those with you now. They were planted back in the end of February, and we have different harvesting stages, but the first one that came off was Yukon Gold. Now, if you look at the potato, it looks like a normal potato that we'd go to the grocery store. The shape has been pretty traditional. Occasionally we would get some good size ones, but the color difference is when you actually cut into them. And when you cut into the Yukon Gold, you'll notice that they're a yellow or a gold color in appearance. And the article and the description on where we purchased them said that they actually look like when you mash the potatoes, they already have butter in them. So the catalog also told us that it was one of their #1 selling varieties. Well, after we've sampled all these, I think most of the people that have tried them have preferred the Yukon Gold. Now, the Yukon Gold is very early in production. We started harvesting them about 50-55 days from when we put in the seed pieces. And they started wilting down when we had all that rain earlier in the season, and we thought that we possibly had the early blight or late blight disease. The characteristics were very typical, but when we sent them into the lab, come to find out they didn't have the blight disease, and that's good to know because they also say these are blight resistant. So we think it was just the stress from the moisture, and because they were so early in production, they were already wilting down on us. So the Yukon Gold is a interesting one, good flavor, nice yellow color, and really did quite well in production. Now, we had them planted in this raised bed where we're displaying them, along with the next variety, which is called All Blue. All Blue also did very well in yield and in production, and the main reason that we think these two did better than the others are because the other varieties we had in the ground bed here, and they stayed wetter from all that moisture and rain we had and a little bit cooler. The ones in the raised bed drained better, warmed up better, and so we actually got a little bit better production. So that's a good point to emphasize how successful these raised beds do for us. Now, all blue, we washed some off to show you the color. It has a very bluish purple color, and this one is a little bit later in production, about 80 days. But when you cut into this one, you'll notice that it has that blue or purplish color all the way through the potato. Now, one of the characteristics about this one is anytime the potato is all blue or purple like this, they have a tendency to be mealier, which means a rougher texture, but they're also a drier potato, especially if you make like mashed potatoes out of them. And I tried this one with mashed potatoes, and as we boiled it, it turned more of a grayish color, and the consistency was a little bit tougher, and something about eating gray mashed potatoes, but the taste was still pretty good. And again, this is all blue, and the production did pretty well for us, and you can see various sizes, a lot of new potato size for boiling. The next one is called Caribe, and the next few varieties are 90 plus days in production, so they were a little bit later in harvest. It has a purplish color, but when you cut into this one, you'll notice that the purplish tint on this cultivar is actually skin deep, so it's still a white potato. This also is a plus for this one in that the texture is smoother and lighter and not as mealy as the one that's all blue or all purple in the center. This one is another favorite. As you boil it, the skin becomes lighter, so you really don't notice the purplish skin. And again, this one had some of the best sized potatoes of all the cultivars that we grew, and it was called Caribe. Now we have three more to talk to you about. The next one is Garnet Chile, and this one has a rosy red color on the outside, and you'll notice that it has a irregular shape, and that was described in the catalog, and we had a lot of them that were that way. When you cut into this one, again, it has your typical potato color. The reddish color is just on the outside on the skin. It has a thicker skin too, and the catalog told us that they actually store longer. Well, of all the ones that we've stored, this one has more rotting on us, so we're not sure if we didn't cure them properly or what. But we want to remind you that when you store these, be careful that you don't let the temperatures get over 80 degrees during the summer, and that you also keep it in a cool, dry, dark place, and that will help in the storage of your potatoes. So the Garnet Chile, again, has some strange shapes. The production wasn't that great for us, but again, they tell us that it does usually store pretty good. But the interesting thing about the history of the Garnet Chile is that this is one of the parents that's used in many of the crosses of some of the later potatoes that have been released. So it's one that's used in a lot of research and studies to develop some of the varieties that we're eating now. Next we have Green Mountain, and it's a traditional light colored skin. This one, some people like that mealy taste that we described earlier to you, and a lot of people like this one because it is very mealy in texture again. The good thing about this one is that it stores for a long time and it keeps its flavor even during the long storage period. So that's one of the pluses about this one. And if you like a mealy potato, then this would be the one you'd want to try. The other interesting thing is this is one of the oldest release varieties that we have here back in 1885. And so it's one of the older ones and a favorite, and that's why it's still so popular. The last one I want to show you is called Katahdin, and it's more uniform, I think, in the round-shaped potato. Again, it has light-colored skin, white in appearance when you cut into it. And the thing about this one is the flavor. It's really sold a lot for the mashed potato flavor, still a typical potato. This particular cultivar was released in 1932 and is a favorite in the eastern part of the United States. Now you can see there's just a few of the varieties that we have. We want to thank the company called Roniger Seed Potato out of Moy Springs, Idaho. And they sent these potatoes, and they just have many, many types of potatoes, seed potatoes that you can get. And they were very nice in doing it, and they have a tendency to specialize in keeping older heritage type varieties. So if you're interested, you might want to write to them or contact them about some of the varieties they carry. Now, in any kind of unique specialty like this, there's always a lot of interest and curiosity in how you would prepare them. Well, let's go into the kitchen, and Barb's going to give us some nice ideas on how to prepare some of these unique colored varieties.
We hope you've enjoyed this classic from the Oklahoma Gardening Vault. Remember, even though these tips and techniques are timeless, there's always something new to learn in the world of gardening. By subscribing to both Oklahoma Gardening and OK Gardening Classics, you'll have access to a wealth of gardening knowledge, both classic and contemporary.